In Auschwitz, Viktor Frankl watched a woman die. She was not dying of disease or violence but of what he could only describe as a broken spirit. Yet in her final hours she told him something remarkable. She was grateful. The tree outside the barracks window, a single branch with 2 blossoms, had become the most beautiful thing she had ever seen. She was suffering beyond imagination, and she was, in some irreducible sense, at peace. Frankl never forgot her. She became proof of the thesis that would define his life's work, that suffering, at its extremity, does not end meaning. It can become its most intense source. This is a deeply uncomfortable idea for the modern world. We have built an entire civilization oriented around the reduction of discomfort. Medicine, technology, entertainment, psychology itself, all serve, to varying degrees, the project of eliminating pain from human experience. And there is nothing wrong with relieving unnecessary suffering. Frankl was not a masochist, and he did not believe people should seek out pain. But he drew a crucial distinction that our culture tends to collapse: the difference between suffering that can and should be alleviated, and suffering that is unavoidable, and that, if met with the right inner posture, can become the site of the most profound meaning a human being can know. Frankl called this the third pathway to meaning: attitudinal values. When we can no longer change our situation, when the diagnosis is final, the loss is irreversible, the limitation is permanent, the only freedom remaining is the freedom to choose our attitude toward that situation. And this freedom, Frankl insisted, is not trivial. It is the most human freedom of all. It is what separates a person from a mere organism responding to conditions. It is, in his famous formulation, the last of the human freedoms. The insight did not come to him in a library. It came in the camps, where he stripped of everything: his wife, his manuscripts, his clothes, his name, observed again and again that the one thing the guards could not take was the inner response of the prisoner to what was being done to him. He saw men who had nothing left offer their last piece of bread to someone weaker. He saw men with every advantage of health and background collapse into brutal self-preservation. The external conditions were often identical. The inner responses were worlds apart. What made the difference, Frankl concluded, was meaning, whether the person had found a way to give their suffering a why. The philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche said, "He who has a why to live can bear almost any how." Frankl made this the cornerstone of logotherapy. But he went further than Nietzsche. He argued that not only can suffering be born when given meaning, it can actually be the occasion for the highest form of human achievement. The person who suffers unavoidably and chooses to meet that suffering with dignity, courage, and even a quiet inner peace is, in Frankl's view, performing one of the greatest acts available to human beings. Greater, perhaps, than the person who achieves success in comfortable circumstances. This is not an abstraction. In clinical terms, Frankl found that many patients who came to him with depression or anxiety were not suffering from a lack of pleasure or even a lack of love. They were suffering from a lack of meaning for their pain. They could not make sense of why they were going through what they were going through, and it was this senselessness, more than the pain itself, that was destroying them. His therapeutic approach in these cases was not to remove the suffering but to help the patient find a frame for it, a perspective from which the suffering could be seen as part of a larger story, a testimony, a transformation, a gift, however dark, to their own growth or to others. Today, this idea finds remarkable resonance with research on post-traumatic growth. Studies consistently show that a significant percentage of people who survive serious trauma, illness, loss, near-death experiences, report not just recovery but a deepened sense of meaning, stronger relationships, and a richer appreciation for life. This is not denial. It is transformation. And Frankl would recognize it immediately as the attitudinal value at work, the human being taking an unchosen situation and choosing, freely, what to do with it. The culture of comfort we have built risks producing the opposite. When every discomfort is medicalized, every difficult emotion pathologized, every hardship treated as a deviation from the normal state of ease, we deprive people of the developmental opportunity that suffering, met with courage, provides. We raise generations equipped with every tool for avoiding pain but no framework for living with the pain that cannot be avoided. Frankl's answer is not stoic repression or religious resignation. It is a clear-eyed affirmation that human beings are bigger than their circumstances. That suffering is real and terrible and sometimes utterly without justification, and that the response we bring to it is, nonetheless, entirely ours to choose. The tree with 2 blossoms outside the Auschwitz barracks was not a solution to what that dying woman was enduring, but it was proof that even there, even then, the human spirit could find beauty and meaning. That proof is Frankl's most enduring gift. Subscribe to The Psychology of Viktor Frankl to explore more of his timeless ideas.